it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts. Welcome to Simple Stamping Saturday. And yes, it's old format time. Long story, so not going to go into it. But anyway, all's good. Nothing to stress about. Today I am going to be using the Bottled Happiness stamp set. This is in the annual catalogue. It's a really fun set. We've got two sets of bottles. We've got a see-through bottle here, so you can do solid, see-through. This is a bottle label. We've got some two-step stamping. We've got some foliage here and some great sentiments. So we've got let's get into the spirit, sending a little message, sending cheer, wine not, and overflowing with happiness. And there's also a cork stopper here. You can then bundle this and save 10% on the stamp set and the punch with the punch. That punches out this bottle here. So bundle those up, you save 10% on the total cost. Always good to know. You can also add, and I will be for my second stepped up card, some little bottle shaker bits. So little plastic shaker dome for that. They are called vintage bottle shaker domes. And I've also included the effervescent elements, which are gorgeous. So again, on my second stepped up version, I've added some of these, and I have done something to them, which I will talk about when we get there. So my simple card today is this. So it's a bit of two-step stamping because we're using this and this stamp, overflowing with happiness, and then just this foliage. And I'll show you how I've extended that foliage when we get there. And then on the envelope, because it is Simple Stamping Saturday, we always stamp on the envelope on Simple Stamping Saturday. I've added some more of the foliage. So let's get started. I've got my note card and envelope. These are basic white. I'm using just two ink pads, Tahitian Tide and Parakeet Party. The first thing I'm going to do, and the first thing I'm going to talk about, is this stamp. So this is a very floppy stamp, and you need to be quite careful with it when you come to put it on your block, because if you just plonk it on your block, you can do all sorts of exciting shapes with it, but not necessarily things you want to do. So what I would suggest you do is you just kind of hold it. Oh, I've got a bit of smit there that I don't really want. So you just hold it gently and then just drop it. Leave it for a short while so that it can just relax itself. And once it's kind of relaxed, what I like to do is just make sure that the edges are straight. So we've got a straight line here, a straight line there, and then I can pick up my bottle with that. You can also line it up over the bottle inner if you want, but just be careful that you don't stretch it out of shape. So the first thing I'm going to do is to stamp this. You'll notice I've stamped it slightly towards the side, to get this in, but also it's quite nice to have things off center. So I'm going to ink up my bottle outline and just come over to the side of my card here and stamp down. Now I have prepped these stamps. These are photopolymer, so I like to make sure that the finish that's used in the moulds that make these is off before we stamp. So you can just rub them on the back of your hand, use a good white eraser just to give them a key. Right, I need a bit of scrap paper, and I'm going to ink this up and just stamp off quite quickly, because you don't want too much stamped ink to transfer across to your rough paper. And then just line this up over the outline stamp, and it's reasonably easy to do because it is see-through, so you can just stamp it down. Now there's not much ink on there, so you do want to give it a chance to actually transfer to your card, and then bring it up, and there is your stamp. Now, if you don't like the fact that this is open like that, you can, of course, add extra ink. And the way I would do that is one of two ways. You can either just be very careful round the edge of your stamp and add a bit of ink around the edge, or the easy thing to do is to get your Stampin' Right marker and just come in and draw over the stamp. And that way you can be really quite precise on where you add the ink. And I like to do little sort of short bursts of ink because then it looks more like the stamp and less like kind of just random ink, if that makes sense. So that is our bottle, nicely done. Next up we need our foliage. Actually, next up I will do the sentiment, because then I can close my Tahitian tide. So let's come in with the sentiment, and I'm snuggling it into the neck of the bottle and getting it as straight as I can, and just stamp that down. And there we have our sentiment. So I can now close this up, which means I'm less likely to put my fist into it. And then bring in our foliage, which we're going to need for the envelope as well, and just ink that up and just go straight, ignore that the bottle is there, and just stamp straight over like that. Now, I have an issue with this. It's just kind of hanging in the vase. So again, Stampin' Right marker, just come in and extend that down. And again, I'm doing this kind of dotty, well, more dashy in this case. Don't worry if your line's not completely straight. It's a bit of foliage, so it doesn't have to be. And then just get it to touch the bottom of your bottle. So that's that. Now we just need to do the envelope. So let's bring that in, and again I'll use my oh, that's the one we've done. I'll bring in my scrap piece, and I'm going to just ink up and come quite a way up and over both edges, so it looks intentional that it's there. Come down a bit. You can snuggle this little bit of foliage into that hole like that, and then same again, snuggle into that hole, and you get that nice gentle diagonal. I'm trying to think of what word to use for that. So that is our envelope done. Just need to burnish the card so that it's got a nice crisp fold. And I know I say this every week, bone folder is your friend, because then you get a nice crisp edge, and there's your card. So stepped up versions, they're bright, I warn you, they are bright. So this is the first one, and this time I've stamped the bottle on a separate piece of scrap white, punched it out with the bottle punch, and I've used the foliage, sorry, the floral rather than the foliage. So I've used this because this is two-step stamping. I didn't include that for the simple stamping version because I don't consider that to be simple. It's not difficult, but I certainly wouldn't think of it as a first stamper's attempt. And I've used Daffodil Delight and Parakeet Party again. And then I put some Parakeet Party matte dots on there. I've stamped this on a separate scrap piece of paper, flagged the end. I have moved it up because there just wasn't really space to have it exactly where it had been before, so I've just moved it up a little. So that's that version. Trimmed down my white card and layered it on Tahitian Tide and Parakeet Party. Like I said, it's bright. And then this is my next version. So this time I've used the shaker bottle and I filled it with some of the effervescent, what do we call them? Effervescent elements. But before I put them in, I dyed them with some Tahitian Tide ink refill and some rubbing alcohol. I used 100%. You could probably use 70. You have to get them quite dark for them to then get paler when you dry them off. I found that drying them on a piece of kitchen roll was the best way. The alcohol does help because it evaporates, but my final bit was on a piece of kitchen paper, just dabbing them. And we've then got nice coloured effervescent elements. This is using the Stylish Shapes dies, and again I've used some of the matte dots. So those are my 3 projects, but I just want to add something else. In the new July to December catalogue, there is also the Vintage Christmas version, which has the same, well, this is the same shape, this is an additional shape, but you can use it for Christmas. You've got more foliage. Again, it's photopolymer, so it's going to be really easy to use. So yeah, we can layer all these up to make a Christmas version. We've got Making Spirits Bright, A Very Merry Christmas to You, and Happy Holidays. So yeah, if you get this, I would put this on your wish list for when the 1st of July hits, so that you can have your vintage Christmas as well as your bottled happiness. So I hope you've enjoyed that. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you've got any questions, you can leave those below the description bar. There's a link in the description to the blog post that goes with this, so you can click that and have a look at close-up photographs, a bit more information, exactly what I used, those sorts of things. Also in the description is and this is going to be a blatant plea, I am on the 4th of July this year. It will be my 10th anniversary of being diagnosed with breast cancer. I am well. I am in remission, happily, fingers crossed, touching my head hard. But I am going to be shaving my head, or having my head shaved, to raise money for a charity. It's a local Oxfordshire charity called Against Breast Cancer. It was founded by someone who lived in our village, and specifically is looking for both a vaccine for breast cancer and also a cure for secondary breast cancer. And it's secondary breast cancer that accounts for the vast majority of breast cancer deaths. And here's the thing, breast cancer is not just a female issue, it's a male issue as well. Every year in the UK, 1 in 200 people that are diagnosed with breast cancer is male. So there is a link to my Just Giving page. If you can spare even the smallest amount, I would be absolutely thrilled. My target was £500. I've now increased that to £1,000 because I've already hit my £500 target. But the more we can raise, the greater the help that we can give. So plea over. Have a fantastic rest of your day. As I say, if you've got any questions, please do ask those below. Oh, Just Giving takes donations in UK sterling, your Australia, Canadian, and US dollars, and in euros. So if you're not in the UK and you want to give in a foreign currency, they take those without any issue at all. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you for listening to my plea, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye!